All right, we're back for some weekend previews. One of the biggest games of the weekend, in my opinion. The Indiana Hoosiers are hosting the Kansas Jayhawks at Assembly Hall. Hunter Dickinson's, I don't want to call it a revenge tour, but his tour through his Big Ten ghosts continues here as he, one more time, gets to step into the gallows of Assembly Hall and take on a front court that is pretty damn good. Kel'el Ware's been great this season. Malik Renault's been very good this season. Mackenzie Mbako's kind of coming around. A lot of jokes have been made from us at Indiana's expense, but at the end of the day, they're 7-2. And here they are with their first chance for a marquee resume win at home. Notable, Indiana is undefeated at home this season, 1-0 against top 100 opponents with a 12-point win against Maryland at home. They are 2-0 in Big Ten play. They're at the top of the Big Ten conference right now. Kansas, though, not a Big Ten team, Cart.
No, definitely not a Big Ten team. And this is a very interesting spot for Indiana basketball because, I mean, for lack of a better term, they got their doors blown off versus Auburn. Like, that was very, very bad. That was a look in the mirror after the game. What happened to us? Like, what are we going to do after this game type of loss? And they have no time to really lick their wounds in this case when they have a really, really good Kansas team coming into their place. But, you got to look at the positives in this situation. Assembly Hall is about to be rocking on Saturday. Like that environment's going to be crazy. Hunter Dickinson returning back to another Big Ten team. Kel'el Ware versus Hunter Dickinson. I just think there's a lot of matchups that actually bode well for Indiana. I'm not too impressed by Kansas's guard and wing play necessarily, and I think that's a sore point, a sore spot, or a weak link of this Indiana team as well. But I truly think that when you go front court for front court, I think that Indiana's front court can keep up with Hunter Dickinson and KJ Adams and other players that play in their front court. So, obviously the game isn't played on paper, but when you match up these teams, you give Indiana the home advantage. There's a big opportunity for them to get a really, really good win here. And I think if they do get this win, it flips the season in my eyes. Like, it'd be like the Auburn game didn't even happen if they get this win against Kansas at home.
Yeah, I think if Indiana were to win this game, I think flips the season is a little bit harsh, but I agree with what you're trying to say. Because I think, to me, their season isn't dead by any means if they lose this game. You lose to Kansas, Kansas is a great basketball team. You're 7-3. Everything's still in front of you. But if you win,
Greg, I'm dramatic. Every single game on every team's schedule, I think is going to flip.
Schedule. Okay.
It's a character flaw of mine. I'm sorry.
If Indiana wins this game, I think you can say they're an NCAA tournament team because they have the resume at that point, right? They're 8-2, and as long as they don't completely have an abomination of a Big Ten season, like they've done, it's the flip side of Michigan State. They've done enough in the non-conference to just coast in the Big Ten and be fine. Which you can't say for a lot of Big Ten teams right now. You look around this. Michigan dropped the ball. They have work to do. Michigan State dropped the ball. They have work to do. Iowa dropped the ball. They have work to do. Like a bunch of teams that want to be in the NCAA tournament at the end of the season dropped the ball. Indiana hasn't thus far, and that includes a blowout loss to Auburn. The thing is, the Auburn game, I feel like we didn't spend a ton of time on it. We have a recap on the channel, but the way that game went down really scares me because it wasn't it ended up being a blowout, 28-point loss. But for the first 10 minutes of the game, Indiana looked great. They scored 26 points in the first 10 minutes. They were up 6 on Auburn, and then they got outscored 32-8 in the final 10 minutes of the first half. But they didn't ever chip away after that. Like we talked about in our Tennessee recap last night, when a team's up 30, sometimes they take the foot off the gas. Sometimes the other team works their way back into it. Indiana never worked their way back into it. Auburn kept growing the lead in the second half in every 10-minute segment for the rest of the game. So I don't know what you do. In the Auburn game against Indiana, it was Aiden Holloway against nobody in the backcourt. That was the matchup, right? Although Cardio Gabe did do something more than cardio for the first time in his career. He had 11 points. He had 2 threes, so that was a nice positive sign. But Aiden Holloway's had a very interesting start to the season. I don't think he's been very good. He was fantastic against Indiana's guard matchup of nobody. So now it's DeJuan Harris against Nobody. And I get Trey Galloway is going to play guard. I get Gabe Cupps is out there. This is DeJuan Harris against nobody.
But it's not DeJuan Harris against nobody though. You're forgetting about the biggest matchup of all.
It's DeJuan
DeJuan
Harris
Harris,
versus himself.
DeJuan Harris versus himself. Literally, you don't know I think that could be one of the pivotal factors of the game is what DeJuan Harris plays, because if you get a aggressive DeJuan Harris in this game, like I think you could see a stat line that's pretty special from him, like points, rebounds, assists, all that. I think it could be a pretty special stat line. But as we know, the DeJuan Harris experience, you don't know what you're going to get. You're going to get a 4-6-4 game, or you're going to get a game where, Kentucky, where he puts up 20 points. You just don't know what you're going to get for him. But they do have a clear advantage in the backcourt if they want to take advantage of it. But the thing is, you can't feel good coming into this game being like, you're going to get this DeJuan Harris. You don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's a good call out. Like DeJuan does definitely take himself out of games more than you would like to see. He also can pretty much single-handedly dominate a game. With Kansas in general, maybe with both these teams in general, actually, but I don't know. I'm still trying to give Indiana credit more than criticize them at this point. Kansas has a little element to them of like they're 9-1, but they're trending in the wrong direction, as crazy as that sounds. I haven't been super impressed with them through this point in the season, even though they're 9-1. Like, to me, they got outplayed in the Kentucky game for most of the game before they came back to win it. They got blown out by Marquette and Maui. They beat Tennessee in Maui, but Tennessee was just gassed, it felt like. Like, give credit to Kansas, but Tennessee, if they shoot like 30% from three, they win that game. And then UConn, like you saw Allen Fieldhouse do its magic in the UConn game, which was great. But even then, they blew like a 10-point lead and UConn stormed back to take the lead. So I just and mix in an Eastern Illinois game that was tied with 2 minutes left. Missouri was a close game for much of this game. It's not a coincidence that Kansas is sitting here at 9-1, a team that like KenPom loved to start the season, and they've fallen to 12th nationally. Like I would have expected Kansas is 9-1. Oh, KenPom has them as the number 2 team in the country. They're right there with Purdue, with UConn, with these other one-loss teams. No, they're 12th. Like they're behind Auburn in KenPom right now, and they're 9-1. That seems ominous.
Right. No, and that's why I think I come to the realization or the prediction point of this, and I'm like, if I'm an Indiana fan, if I'm an Indiana basketball player, this is a gettable game. Like, this is a team that you have come in top 5 in the country. You're playing them at home, and you can see areas where you can hang with them or even, beat this team. So it's a game that I think they should come in being like, this is an opportunity. We need to win this basketball game. Like, this isn't like unranked Indiana trying to pull off the underdog upset of the year and take down Kansas at home. No, this is a game that they should expect to win, and I think is very gettable. And to be honest, this is coming from whoever's watched our Indiana, videos throughout the whole year. I've probably been one of the hardest or harshest critics on Indiana basketball all year. I think that I kind of agree with you in the sense that Kansas has kind of been just floating, cakewalking, just kind of breezing by through the whole season. And I think that they're going to be in for a shock when Indiana actually wins this basketball game.
Wow. So you're picking the Hoosiers?
Yeah, I actually do think they win this basketball game at home. As long as the one thing is that you mentioned, this isn't a team that can come from behind. If they just stick around all game and they find themselves within punching distance, striking distance, I think that Indiana will find a way to pull it out. But they're not a team that can come back. So don't let Kansas come out and just punch them right in the mouth, and all of a sudden, this first media timeout, you're down 12-4 or something like that, or 14-4.
Okay. I wish that I was going to make the same prediction as you here. I would love to. You're going to get some good value on Indiana money line, I believe. KenPom has Kansas as a 6-point favorite. We're doing this a couple days early, so we don't know what the betting line is. I would expect this is like, not to play guess the lines, Bill Simmons style. I think this is like a 5-point spread. I think Indiana's going to get the home court boost from bettors. I think the sharps are going to be on Indiana, and Kansas is going to be favored by less in the books than they are by the analytics. I think I'll be betting Kansas in this game. So to me, the way you beat Kansas or the way you hang in a game with Kansas, we saw it with UConn, we saw it with Eastern Illinois, is you use your backcourt to put Hunter Dickinson in dangerous defensive situations. Who on Indiana is doing that?
At least they got a big that can do that.
I don't think that's how you beat Kansas. I don't think that's how you beat Hunter. Like through the course of his career,
Yeah.
you don't.
Do we know if Xavier Johnson's for sure out for this basketball game?
I just am strongly assuming he is, but I have
Okay.
not seen anything reported on it.
Yeah, I would assume that as well. That is tough because I point to that UConn Kansas game. Once they actually started putting Hunter in pick and rolls, Tristan Newton had 40.
Dude, he is toast. Like literally, I've been screaming it since watching it every game at Michigan. If a team just figures out all you have to do is make him guard in space and make decisions of is he hedging hard, is he not, is he drop? Like if you have a guard that can go get their own, the game's over. And Indiana is like the only team in the country that doesn't have a guard that can do that. Like, and maybe this is like a Gabe Cubs breakout game. That would be my flip on this. Is like Cubs looked okay against Auburn offensively. But could you see this being the Gabe Cubs game where he like emerges out of the scene and has 20 because Hunter can't guard him?
Depends if DeJuan Harris is checking him. No,
Yeah.
if DeJuan Harris is checking him, that's awful for Gabe Cupps and Indiana's outlook. But I figured DeJuan will probably be on Galloway.
It depends. I don't know. They might put DeJuan on Gabe Cubs just to wreak havoc, like go mess with this
Yeah.
19-year-old kid and then put
Yeah.
El Marco on Galloway because I don't think you're that worried about Galloway.
Yeah,
But
true. Well, in that case, then I'm feeling a lot less a lot less good about my Indiana pick. But I don't know. I just think it's a gettable game. You got to get it.
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I like the sentiment behind your pick of like Indiana's playing better. We're taking them seriously. I wholeheartedly agree with. My prediction in this game is Kansas wins by double digits. I think it could get ugly in the second half, and I think it's entirely because Indiana can't do the put Hunter in space. Like they're going to try and win through the post, and you're not beating Kansas through the post. Like KJ Adams is a great defender. Hunter Dickinson is not a great defender, but Hunter will outplay Kel'el Ware in this game. It will happen.
You don't think there's any kel'el Ware drags Hunter out?
No.
No
I mean,
chance.
like will Ware hit a three? Probably. But like the bottom line, if it's Kel'el Ware trying to just like beat Hunter Dickinson one-on-one in this game, Hunter's going to devour him. Hunter's a better player than Kel'el Ware.
That's very true. But at the end of the day, I put myself in a really good position here. I think Indiana's going to win. If they don't win, if they get blown out, like you said, I'm going to be here. I'll be here.
You are in a really good spot. And just to wrap on this, Hunter Dickinson last year was 0-2 against Indiana. Mike Woodson getting the best of Juwan Howard in those games. But Hunter Dickinson had 24 points and 14 rebounds in Assembly Hall the last time that he was there in the Michigan desperation game. He had 16 points and 7 rebounds in Ann Arbor when you and I were trying to steal a win from my Wolverines when the season still was in the balance. So we've seen good Hunter Dickinson against Indiana the last couple times out. My guess would be you get that again. That's why I'm guessing Kansas wins the game. That's Carter Elliott. I am Greg Waddell. We'll be here to recap Indiana, Kansas later this weekend. Subscribe to the Sleepers Media YouTube channel so you do not miss it.